Hey, Big Dave, the Middle-Aged Gamer here with a bonus video today. And we're going to be doing this every Thursday. Football is here. As you all noticed, I'm a football fan myself. And I've done periodic mock drafts, but I'm going to expand my reach a little bit. I'm going to do some Pickems. Week 1. Let's get right into it here. We got the Baltimore Ravens and the Kansas City Chiefs starting tonight. And it's at home in Kansas City. Okay, it's not my home, but no, Kansas City is home. Oh, that's not awkward at all. And as you can see, I got the Ravens pick, and let me explain this. Bit of a shock. Kansas City had a hell of an offseason. They won the Super Bowl last year with perhaps the worst wide receiver room in NFL history. I mean, it was bad when Rashee Rice was turned into a star. But, he went and did a thing, and so the Chiefs went and bolstered their wideout core like nobody's business. They got the fastest man ever in Xavier Worthy from the U of Texas, and that everyone automatically already said, yeah, he's going to be the next Tyreek in that offense, and it's hard to disagree with that. But the Ravens did have the best defense last year, and if you look at who they had on defense, this was definitely a case of the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. It's actually how you want your defense to be. And then you look at the other side, they got Ravens, they got Derrick Henry in the offseason, and I know, he's 29, 30, something like that, but his power running style does lend itself to aging gracefully. If you don't believe me, ask Jerome Bettis. And because of that, their ability to run the ball, hopefully they'll stick to running the ball. And the fact that Kansas City's run defense was last year. Not great, but not bad. Built for the modern NFL, but anybody decides to go old school, you can beat them that way, at least on that side of the ball. But I think if anybody's going to have a defense that can actually keep up with Kansas City, it's going to be Baltimore. I think it's going to be a relatively low-scoring game, but I do think Baltimore does pull out a semi-shock this year, tonight. And, you know what, we'll stick with this year. This might be the only time you see Kansas City lose. All right, then tomorrow night in Sao Paulo, Brazil, we get the Philadelphia Eagles and the Green Bay Packers. And, oh boy, the Eagles on primetime TV. But as you can see, I have them taking the win here. You look at Green Bay's defense. Yeah, they got Xavier McKinney, but other than that, other than him and Jair Alexander, I'm not really thrilled with that secondary. And you need a veritable squad of defenders to hold down Philly's offense. And this was an offense that, they lost Jason Kelce to retirement. So the offensive line's a little squishier than it's been, but it's still really good. They still got Lane Johnson. They still got Jordan Mailata. They still got Landon Dickerson. It's still going to be a very good offensive line. And they still got all those receiving weapons, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert. And now they got Saquon Barkley on top of it all. This is a disgusting offense. And this is a team that, if they don't put up, rephrase that. If they fail to put up 30 points against anybody, it's going to be a disappointing week. This is a team that should easily average 35 to 40 points a game. This is ridiculous. We're seriously talking 2007 Patriots levels of disgusting. But on the other side, they got that squishy secondary that was exposed last year with Darius Slay and James Bradbury aging. They did shore it up through the draft, but here's the thing, rookie defensive backs tend to struggle at times. So if this team can be beat, it can be through the air if you can get through that if you can deal with that pass rush. The Pack, I'm not so sure they can. The interior of the offensive line is pretty solid, but I'm not fully sold on those offensive tackles. So Jordan Love could have a potentially long day here and be spending more time running for his life than dissecting that secondary. And that's why I have the Eagles winning this game. Okay, now we get to Sunday. We're going to start with the Atlanta Falcons and the Pittsburgh Steelers. You look at this, and the first thing you're going to think is this is going to be a slog. Yes, it is. Now, I'm sure there's a lot of you that are going to say, but Atlanta's got all those weapons, and they got Kirk Cousins. Yeah, they do. They also have a good offensive line. But Pittsburgh has one of the better defenses in the entire league, and really no weaknesses whatsoever. And meanwhile, on the other side, the Falcons' defense is also good, and there are some issues with the Steelers' offense. The line's still, coming into shape. It might take a little bit. We're not sure what they have in quarterback with Russell Wilson. He fell apart toward the end in Seattle and was an absolute dumpster fire in Denver. But now he's on another team, and he's trying to re-salvage his career. And add to the fact that outside of George Pickens, the Steelers really don't have much in the way of weapons. Okay, Pat Freiermuth, but Pat Freiermuth doesn't exactly scare anybody. I mean, unless it's third down. But after that, they just don't have much. And I think because of that, I think Atlanta's going to have an easier time keeping them down. It's going to be a low-scoring game, but I do think Atlanta pulls this one out. After that, we got the Arizona Cardinals in Buffalo against the Bills. The Bills made an announcement a couple of days ago. If you all remember Damar Hamlin, who suffered that horrific injury and death scare a couple of years ago. Well, he's going to be starting this year. So while that doesn't necessarily bode well because he's been a career backup, I do wish the best for him, and I hope he plays well. But with that said, first thing you got to do is you look at that Bills secondary and go, and which means to me that, on paper, you figure Marvin Harrison Jr. in his first ever NFL game is just absolutely going to decimate this defense. Well, not so fast. The front seven's still really good, even without Matt Milano. And while losing Milano is going to hurt a lot, and here's the thing, I'm still not sure about Arizona's run game. Still also not too sure about their offensive line. It's kind of squishy. And defensively, Arizona still has a lot of problems. So on the other side of the ball, even though Buffalo doesn't have much in the way of receivers, they still have Josh Allen. A lot of people consider him one of the best quarterbacks in the league. I'm still not sold on him yet. Yeah, I know, hot take, controversial, but he's always been turnover prone. I think part of the reason why he got so good while in Buffalo was because of Brian Daboll. Daboll knew how to minimize his turnover tendencies and get the best out of him. Well, Daboll's not there anymore. Hasn't been there in about 3 years, and in the years since he's left, the turnovers have come back. So while Arizona doesn't have much of a defense to capitalize on that, that's the big key here. That's why I think Buffalo takes this game. Next, you got Tennessee and Chicago. Bears are favored to win this, and for little wonder. Tennessee's got a pretty good defense there. Could give Caleb Williams some fits. He is a rookie. This is his first ever game. But at home, should be a little easier for him to handle. The Bears have a really exciting offense, and their defense is starting to round into shape, I guess. That's what everybody keeps telling me. But I'm not fully sold on that yet. But at the same time, Tennessee, I'm not sold on their offense yet. It doesn't have to do with Will Levis. I'm excited to see what he can do. But I'm looking at, first off, they got the running game. They've got Pollard now. There's a reason Dallas let him go. Let's just start there. And I'm not overly impressed with their collection of offensive weapons. And they're going to have a rookie starting at left tackle in Joe Alt. Well, I do like Joe Alt a lot. He's a rookie. And rookies on the offensive line tend to struggle mightily. Look at Andrew Thomas. He's one of the greats now, but man, that rookie year was rough. I think it's because of that, I think the Bears take this game. And then we're looking at the New England Patriots and the Cincinnati Bengals. All right, this might be the only time I actually go into any depth on the New England Patriots. Let's try to make this quick. The Patriots, yeah, they're pretty bad. They got Jacoby Brissett starting at quarterback. Not much in the way of weapons at all. Ramondre Stevenson is probably their best weapon. He's their running back. The offensive line, to call it squishy is being generous. I think this offensive line is easily the worst in the league right now. And they're going to have a lot of problems. And that's why they're not starting Drake Mays, because they want May to survive. Brissett, yeah, he's a journeyman. He can take it. Offensively, it's going to be a very long season for the Patriots. And on the other side of the ball, their defense is okay, but they're going to get beaten down a lot, and it starts here. Even without Jamar Chase, who I think is still holding out right now. I mean, that could change before kickoff, but I'm not holding my breath. But even without him, I think T. Higgins alone can absolutely destroy this Patriots defense, and I think the Bengals are going to win this pretty handily in Joe Burrow's triumphant return. And then, okay, we got a divisional matchup here, the Houston Texans and the Indianapolis Colts. Now, I'm one of those weird people who looking at the Texans and think that there's going to be some serious regression this year, kind of like how the Giants did last year. Yeah, they were suddenly a hot team that came out of nowhere, and they looked good, but then all hell broke loose. I don't necessarily see that this year. Well, okay, I still do see that with the Texans, but not yet. I'm not sold on the Colts on the defensive side of the ball, and this could potentially, honestly, I think this is going to be a pretty high-scoring game on both sides. I think Anthony Richardson's going to come out, look terrific. The offensive line's pretty decent, and I don't think anybody can stop Michael Pittman, but I think the Texans could slow him down enough where I think they get the win on this. It's going to be a close game. All right, now we're looking at the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Miami Dolphins. This is my big upset of the week here. Jacksonville going south to Miami, not very far, the Battle of Florida, if you will. But I look at Miami, and I think they've lost way too much. Okay, they lost some of their best offensive linemen from last year, Robert Hunt. They lost Christian Wilkins, both to free agency, and he was their best defensive player. And those are two huge holes that I don't feel that Miami really fixed. So they're going to be kind of squishy in the trenches. I think Jacksonville can take advantage of that on both sides. And because of that, I have the Jags squeaking this one out, and what I think ultimately is going to be a pretty high-scoring game. I don't see Miami, especially with that revamped secondary, able to slow down Jacksonville. All right, and then we're looking at the New Orleans Saints home opener against the Carolina Panthers. The battle for ultimately third place in the NFC South, and I think this one goes to the Saints purely because I think their defense is going to be more solid against that Panther offense than the other way around. I don't think the Panthers can stop anything, and this might be one of the few times where the Saints offense actually looks pretty good, so I think the Saints are going to win this one kind of handily. Now we have another supposed upset here. Giants in their home opener against the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings come in as a bit of a favorite here, although for the life of me, I can't figure out why. No TJ Hawkinson, and Jordan Addison is expected to play, but he's not going to be 100%. Here's the problem. There's no J.J. McCarthy. They're going to have Sam Darnold there. And Sam Darnold got chased off of 3 teams already. 2 or 3 teams, something like that, all right? He saw ghosts in New York and couldn't sniff the playing field in San Francisco. And I know he was somewhere else, but I can't think of it. And now he's suddenly starting in Minnesota. Yeah, they got Justin Jefferson, but you know what? The last team to actually shut down Jefferson was the Giants in the playoffs 2 years ago. And guess what? Vikings fans? Adoree Jackson's back. All right? He was the man that shut down the Vikes, that shut down Jefferson. And on top of the fact that, yeah, the Vikings tackles are good, but their interior is soft and squishy. And that's going to be just perfect for Dexter Lawrence to feast on. Dexter Lawrence is going to be in the backfield the entire game. Aaron Jones isn't going to know what hit him. There's going to be no running game for the Vikings, I don't think. And if they somehow get by Lawrence, Bobby Okereke is going to be right there to clean up. All right? So I don't think the Vikings are going to really be able to do all that much on offense. Meanwhile, on the other side, we've seen that the Giants' offensive line suddenly actually looks pretty good. I know, kind of weird, but yeah. And they add to the fact that, as I said, they got Adoree Jackson to help shore up that secondary. Whether or not he plays is another matter, but at the very least, he'll help Deonte Banks in the coverage of Justin Jefferson. Add to the fact that they got Brian Burns in the offseason to go on the opposite side of Kayvon Thibodeau and go with Dexter Lawrence. That's a pretty scary pass rush. But here's the key, I think, on the defensive side. It's going to be undrafted free agent Elijah Chapman, who wowed everybody in the preseason by chasing down that running back on the Texans. Okay, he made the team. He's going to be put in passing situations. I think he's going to cause some havoc for also on that interior alongside Lawrence, and going to be part of the reason why Sam Darnold's going to be spending the entire time running for his life. Meanwhile, on the other side, I mentioned that offensive line a little bit. Giants did get a lot. Did really retool that offensive line. They brought in some veterans, John Runyon Jr., Jermaine Illuminor, GVR. And to go with a now healthy Andrew Thomas, that's a pretty good line. Add the fact that they did bring in Carmen Bracillo to coach from the Oakland Raiders, who turned Illuminor and Van Roten into the linemen we know today. That's actually pretty good. They drafted Malik Neighbors. He's exciting. He's fun to watch, and yes, while he's the Vikings have Stephon Gilmore to match up against him. I think Gilmore does get the best of him once, but after that, I think Neighbors adjusts, and he's gonna make Gilmore look foolish the entire way. I think this one might actually get a bit ugly here. I know everyone's predicting a close game. I'm not seeing it that way. I think the Giants win this one pretty handily. Sorry, Vikings fans. All right, next then we have the Chargers and the Raiders, another divisional game. And I really feel bad for Raiders fans. Yeah, it looks everything's going good. Pretty good defense. But they got Gardner Minshew as your quarterback. Yeah. Devontae Adams is not going to be happy about that. It's going to be a long season for the Raiders. And it's either that or Aiden O'Connell. I think O'Connell just got lucky last year. The offensive line, I think, is going to take a step back without Bracillo there to coach them up. And I think the Chargers, who've concentrated on defense and are adopting a more of a power running game. I like who they got. They got 2 running backs from Baltimore. They're going to see a lot more use. Even without all the extra receivers, I think the Chargers can grind this down. It's going to be a low-scoring game. It's going to be kind of boring, but this is the kind of game the Chargers are going to play, and they still have the quarterback needed to make the occasional play here or there to get the win. I think the Chargers take this. All right, now we got Denver and Seattle. Broncos heading out to Seattle for Seattle's home opener. It's hard to win in Seattle. The Legion of Boom is back. The Legion of Boom 2.0, if you want to call it that. I'm not thrilled about their pass rush, but it's not going to be as bad as a lot of people think. And offensively, I like the weapons they have in place. The line is the line. It's not great, and I'm just also not really sold on Geno Smith. Meanwhile, Denver, they're starting a rookie quarterback, Bo Nix. We've shown a lot of promise. Looks pretty exciting. but I'm not entirely thrilled about the rest of the offense. Defensively, I think Denver's actually going to be pretty good. Excuse me. I think this is going to be another low-scoring game, but I think Seattle puts... but because it's in Seattle and it's so hard to win in Seattle, I think the Seahawks hold serve at home. All right, now we're looking at the Dallas Cowboys and the Cleveland Browns. I'm, again, going against the majority here. I'm taking the Browns on this one, even though they don't have Nick Chubb to run the ball with. I don't think they're going to need him. Cleveland's defense is disgusting. And Dallas's offense, I think, is actually kind of overrated right now. Dak is Dak, but... And Dallas's interior offensive line is still pretty good, but I wouldn't trust those tackles. You got Terrence Steele on one side and rookie Jalen Guyton on the other. I wouldn't trust them. Remember what I said before about rookies' tackles? Yeah. If Joe Walt, I think, is going to struggle a bit, what do you think? How do you think I feel about Guyton? All right. Also, if you look at their weapons outside of CeeDee Lamb, they don't really have much. I think Brandon Cooks is starting to slow down. He's not He's not the player he used to be. And I'm still not sold on Luke Schoonmaker yet as a true tight end one. Excuse me. But so I think Cleveland's going to have an easy time. I think Myles Garrett's going to feast on that Dallas offensive line, and I think Dak's going to run a lot for his life, a lot. Meanwhile, on the other side, no DaRon Bland, which means Amari Cooper is going to have to be covered by Trayvon Diggs. Trayvon Diggs, yeah, he is a ball hawk, but he's just as guilty of giving up big plays as making them himself. So I think, and a lot of people forget, but Amari Cooper used to practice against Trayvon Diggs. If there's anybody who knows his weaknesses, it's going to be Cooper. I think he's going to exploit him all day. And I think Deshaun Watson is good enough to be able to get the ball to him. Don't underestimate the Browns' offensive line. It's actually really good, despite what people think. It's a really good offensive line. It's not going to be that many, very many teams that are going to be able to hold Micah Parsons in check, but the Browns are one of them, and I think the Browns win this one. It's a home opener, and I think they win pretty easily, honestly. All right, now we're looking at the Commies and the Bucks. There should be a pretty easy win for the Bucks. Commanders, Jaden Daniels, his first ever game. It's going to be on the road in a hostile place. The offensive line outside of Sam Cosmi is, yeah. And outside of Terry McLaurin, outside of Terry McLaurin, they don't have all that much. They did just trade Christian Watson to the Eagles, and I don't know why. And meanwhile, on the other side, the Commies' defense is, yeah, also pretty bad. I think this is going to be a pretty easy game for the Bucks. Baker's going to have an easy time of it. He's got weapons. The O-line starting to come together. And on the other side, yeah, they got a pretty underrated defense. They've done a pretty good job overhauling this team from the Tom Brady days. I think the Bucks win this one pretty easy. And now we're looking... Okay, now we got the Sunday night game, the LA Rams and the Detroit Lions in Detroit. The Rams had a horrible offseason for one reason and one reason only. Aaron Donald retired. And I don't care what you say about this Rams team. Yeah, their offense looks pretty good, but their defense is hurting. And with the high-powered offense that the Lions have, they're just going to score early and often and at will on this Rams defense. Meanwhile, on the other side, yeah, the Rams can put up the points too, but the Lions defense is actually pretty decent now. The Rams' offensive line is rebuilding. I think they have another team with an rookie offensive tackle. And I think Aiden Hutchinson is just going to feast, and I think this is going to be this game could also get pretty ugly. Lions win easy. And then finally we got the Monday Nighter. New York Jets going all the way to San Francisco for the 49ers. Jets will be without Hassan Reddick because he's still holding out. Idiot. And this will be Aaron Rodgers' first game back against the guy that put him out in the first place, Leonard Floyd. The Niners, on the other hand, they fixed all their problems finally. Brandon Ayuk back in the fold. Trent Williams going to be back in the fold, if not already, by the time you hear this. And the Niners, yeah, they lost a few players in free agency, but not on the offensive side. It's all on the defense. It's going to be a bit of a higher scoring game than a lot of people think, provided because the Jets did a pretty good job of fixing that O-line to protect Aaron Rodgers. They got weapons. One hell of a matchup, though, tonight in that regard. I mean, you're going to have Garrett Wilson against Amador Lenoir, however you want to pronounce it. And that's going to be fun to watch. But ultimately, I think it comes down to, generally when you got this close of a thing, it goes down to who's at home. I think the Niners take this one out. And what I think is going to be a classic, honestly. It's going to be a hell of a game. All right, so there you go. Those are all my picks. And wait, did I really say 21? No, I said 23. God. 23. Okay, there we go. Anyway, I'm doing this through the ESPN Pigskin Pickem. And I will show you my groups if you want to play along. I am in the Liquid Metal as a private group. But for those who can only see the excuse me, the public groups, the Grassi Posse, shout out to Tom Grassi for creating this wonderful group. And there you go. Big Dave's Horrid Picks for week 1. So we'll check back again in a week. We'll see how I did. And I'll show you, and I will do this again to make week 2 picks. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to get the latest and greatest videos as they come in and to help this channel grow. This has been Big Dave, the Middle-Aged Gamer. This is NFL Football. I'll see you all next time.